It was the president's signature issue. Now, he made his campaign around immigration, let's be fair, specifically keeping people out. But his signature pledge was the wall.
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words. We're going to build a wall. It's going to be built. It's not even, believe it or not, it's not even a difficult thing to do.
But to his supporters, today that promise for the wall is sounding a lot more like these failed promises of presidents past.
I intend to keep this promise. If you like your doctor, you'll be able to keep your doctor.
Read my lips. No new taxes.
Is President Trump going to be added to that litany of losing propositions? How bad is this for the president? Debatable, so let's have a great debate. Ana Navarro and Steve Cortez. Steve, this was the big promise. This is what he said he was going to do. People like me never believed it would get done, but you did. How do you feel today?
I sure did, and I still do, by the way. But listen, I will absolutely concede. You're right. If this wall doesn't get built, then that will join that unfortunate pantheon of presidential lies that you showed from President H.W. Bush and from President Obama. So he can't let that happen. Number one, it's bad policy. We need the wall built. Our southern border has been porous and, for the most part, basically open for far too long. So it's good policy, but it's also good politics. And I'll tell you, as someone who has pledged to work for his reelection in 2020, I can't even fathom us going into that campaign saying we came up short on the wall.
Anna, what do you think of the state of play? Do you think that he's going to wind up taking a deal, a short-term CR that doesn't have anything like this in it, and then the Democrats take control and they won't let it happen?
Honestly, Chris, I'm going to have to do a Marco Rubio and drink some water because I'm about to say some good things about Donald.
Than Marco Rubio.
I'm about to do some say some good things about Donald Trump, and I might have to sit, lay down and take 2 aspirin after this. Look, at some point you've got to be less political and you've got to do what is right. You've got to govern for the people of America. Forcing a government shutdown is going to put a lot of people in pain. A lot of government workers, a lot of federal workers are going to be in pain. Is that what we want over the Christmas holiday? We are right now heading towards the worst December in stock market history, in Dow Jones history since 1931, which was the Great Depression. The last thing this country needs right now is a government shutdown and all the economic, emotional, and family circumstances that means. And so if it means disappointing some of his supporters, listen, they'll get over it. If they got over him cheating on his wife who had just given birth with a Playboy bunny and cheating on the Playboy bunny with a stripper, believe me, they will get over him doing a stopgap bill on a border wall instead of a government shutdown. It is the right thing to do, and every now and then, he's got to do the right thing.
Feel better, Steve?
No, Anna, let me, a couple things. First of all, the border, this isn't just my opinion or just Donald Trump's opinion that we need a border wall. It's the opinion of the Customs and Border Protection Union. They polled their own officers. 89% of them say that they need a border wall. Those are the frontline cops, the cops of America's border.
Americans, too, overall. Put up the poll numbers. We need it. While Steve is talking, put up the poll numbers.
And I believe them, and I think that we should give them the tools they need to do their job properly. But more importantly, too, you talk about the government shutdown, that it would inflict some pain, and I believe that's true. It would on some people near term. But you know what? There's long-term pain that is permanent pain because we have an open border, and I'm talking specifically about the people, American citizens, many of them Hispanic, who have been injured or killed by dangerous illegal aliens because we have tolerated for decades in this country lawlessness at our southern border. And combined with sanctuary cities, which unfortunately...
One thing at a time. One thing at a time. I thought I was going to put up a number about support. Hold on. I thought I was going to put up a number that showed support for the wall, but it wound up being the same kind of thing. Who supports a shutdown over this wall as context? And the GOP support is 67-19. So people in your party, they resonate off this issue. But Anna, here's what I never understood about this. Now, I'm not a rube when it comes to politics. I get the idea of a big promise. Don't get me wrong. But you heard what the president said, right? It's going to have slats in it. Do you know why he said that? I'm not a mind reader, but I know the answer to this question. That's what's there now. That's what was always going to be there. He was never going to build a brand new wall. The CBP union that you're talking about, Steve, I've talked to those men and women. They didn't want a brand new wall. They want to fix what's there, add to what's there, give them the technology they need. I get that's not as sexy as saying, give us a big brand new wall like the Wall of China with a big door and all that stuff. But that was never going to happen anyway, Anna. Couldn't he win here by saying, I'm going to get more money to make us safer on the border than we've ever been before? They'll have what they need. The border will be safer than ever. Would that be enough?
Look, it certainly would be enough for a lot of people, including me, who understand that the border is mountains and rivers, and the geography and topography is such where a border wall, like a Great Wall of China, does not work. I'm not sure if it's enough for some of his supporters who voted for him precisely because of this. But they also voted for him saying that Mexico was going to pay for this wall. And they've moved from that, right? Now they're okay with the American taxpayer paying for this wall because they know Mexico is not going to pay for this wall. And they're willing to go to a government shutdown. Listen, sitting here in an air-conditioned TV studio, I am not willing to dismiss the pain and suffering of federal workers, some of whom, a lot of whom, live paycheck to paycheck, who have to pay rent, who have to pay kids' tuitions, who have to pay clothes, Christmas gifts, people who have to keep national parks open, families, all sorts of American families who are planning to go visit the Capitol, visit national parks. I am not willing to dismiss the pain of those people because I'm not going to be affected. I think some people may. That's not me.
Well, look, the reality of furlough, Steve, as you know, is that it creates cash flow issues for people who don't have huge savings. They wind up getting paid at some point, but, time value of money matters when you're living paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of working people are. Sure. The reason I said one at a time to you, and put up the president's tweet because he was talking about winning on this issue and what that looks like. So much money's been poured down the drain for so many years, but when it comes to border security and the military, the Democrats fight to the death. We won on the military, which is being completely rebuilt. Not really true. One way or the other, we're going to win on the wall. Look, winning, not winning, that's politics. You're not going to stop that game, but I'm telling you, you were never going to have a brand new wall built. Anybody who works down on the border, who's in a command position, knows that. And by the way, the last thing they want is a wall they can't see through. Because for surveillance issues, that's why they designed what they have down there.
Clearly, you have to be able to. You have.
Wasn't his original plan?
See through it, of course.
Wasn't his original plan?
That's why. Well, but he's changed that clearly.
I know.
Look, he is not a. He's not a wall architect, even though he is a great builder of many great structures all over the world. But look, there has to be an actual wall, not a virtual wall. It's not a metaphor. There has to be a wall.
But in some places, it does have to be virtual.
People want.
But that's what they want. In some places, they want sensors.
In some places,
they want fencing.
They
want different things in different places.
Look. Here's the thing, too. Walls work, all right? And one thing I'm tired of seeing constantly in media is for people to deride this as, it's some sort of medieval idea. All we need to do is look around the world, places like Israel, Hungary, Saudi Arabia,
San Isidro.
Particularly Israel.
Go to San Isidro. They were able to control the flow there, this new phenomenon of mass caravans because of the physical barriers in place. You can put all media together, but that's not fair. No question, more and better. Here's the original problem. The original sin here was what the president said. He lied. He said he was going to build a big brand new wall and Mexico was going to pay for it, and it was BS. It was never going to happen. Now he's in a hole. Period. Now he's in a hole of his own making. He's a great builder. He dug a big hole.
He did not lie. I believe this is still going to happen. He has to make it happen, by the way. Look, the Congress, I think, has abdicated its responsibility to secure our American border. However, that doesn't absolve the president of his responsibility.
They're going to give more money.
So he needs to figure out a way to do this.
More money for security.
And I think the best way is to trade DACA for the wall. That's
not going to happen because you guys didn't let that bill happen. That's when all the old white men came to the president and said,
that's a clean
chain migration,
that's a clean
family reunification. They wouldn't give it to him. They wouldn't give it to him.
And I'm saying
the last deal.
I'm saying let's have a clean one-for-one trade this time.
But it didn't happen. Anna, go ahead.
For almost a year, we heard, and even after being elected president, we heard Donald Trump go to rallies and fan the flames of his supporters, saying, we need a wall, and who's going to pay for
that wall?
Mexico will. Mexico's not going to pay for
Mexico
that wall.
will.
We're not. Exactly. And that in itself was a lie. And I think we've now accepted that. And even his supporters have accepted that that was a big, fat lie. Mexico is not going to pay for the wall. American taxpayers are going to pay for the wall. And then my question is, well, what do you do with the almost half undocumented immigrants who come here by plane, who come here by other means other than crossing through the Mexican border? You know, it is a very complex issue. The wall is not going to solve this issue.
The answer is nothing.
Dealt with seriously and comprehensively.
Look what we just lived through.
And, you know, is this the hill you're going to die on?
Nothing is.
And in the meantime, do a government shutdown and make people suffer and pay?
He knows there's pain connected to the shutdown. That's why he pulled back from it. But Steve, I'm not saying do nothing. I'm saying nothing has been done. Look at these two God forbids we just dealt with. This 7-year-old girl losing her life. This 5-month-old kid who's now in the hospital. People want to demonize the men and women on the border and say they did something wrong to these kids. I've seen no proof of that. But I'll tell you what, there is a culprit. There's a culprit. You know who the culprit is? Congress. And you know why? Because that system's busted. And the rules don't match the resources. They are overwhelmed. I've been there. I've been down there many times, by the way. You know, it's not just this last trip. I've never seen caravans that size before. Neither have they. Nobody's working on those real problems. The wall matters. Physical barriers matter. Technology matters. It's not a panacea. And you're playing this game about the wall like you're one and done.
I agree, totally.
He should be working on the rest of this stuff if he wants to win.
I've never said that. Don't put words in my mouth, Chris.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the president.
The wall solves the problem at the border. The border's not the entire problem. But we wouldn't say, you know, if you had cancer in one part of your body and another, we wouldn't say, well, if it doesn't solve all of them, I'm not going to solve one.
In fact, it exacerbates it.
I'm going to solve one cancer.
It exacerbates it.
And then
if you had a big wall
like
like you want everywhere, you know what happens? More flow to the ports of entry, Anna, and they're overwhelmed. They don't have places to put these people. They don't have ways to take care of them. They don't have the resources. They can't process them.
No, we don't have to put them anywhere because they don't come in. That's the point.
I think the only way that we ever get comprehensive immigration reform is if American people trust that their border is secure. And border security doesn't necessarily call for a wall that extends the entire extension of the border. And you know what? Go read up on El Chapo and the tunnels that he dug from Mexico into the United States and all the drugs that he was able to traffic into them. If you think you can't traffic people through tunnels, you are grossly mistaken.
The overwhelming majority of drugs come into this country through containers
here's the other
in
issue.
the natural
this
border.
Is, right now, this is an issue. Right now, today, as we sit, you know, as we sit
their border
here
is
this
a fraction
week,
of our own. Go ahead.
But
and
listen,
they shoot people.
as we sit here this week, the president is a Republican. The Senate is majority Republican, and the House is majority Republican. This is right now, maybe not after January 3rd, but today, on December 19th, this is entirely a Republican problem. And it's Republicans who don't want to go along with the wall. He can't get a majority Republican vote. So we can't blame Democrats. It's Republicans who don't want to spend the $5 billion fiscally responsibly Republicans who don't want to go along with an unnecessary wall. They will go along with other measures to make the border secure.
Yeah, fiscally responsible.
That Congress has run up a $20 trillion debt in this country, and now they're going to worry about a $5 billion
That's because your party has been co-opted by Trump, and Trump doesn't echo your fiscal conservatism. He passed a tax cut that doesn't pay for itself. That was anathema to you guys an administration ago.
By the way, I join
maybe
Anna in
after
criticizing the Hill Republicans. What they want to do is the easy route here. They want to pass a continuing resolution so that they can go home for Christmas and say, we'll deal with this in February, when, by the way, they don't have the gavel anymore in the House. So to me,
they don't want to vote for the wall. Nancy Pelosi was right, Steve. When Nancy Pelosi punked the president, she was right.
They should go on record and actually vote against it.
Let me say this. I'm not criticizing Republicans.
All right, hold on, one at a time.
Let Anna go. Very clearly in 2016.
Listen,
we'll see. Go ahead.
I'm not criticizing Republicans. I am saying Republicans own this. I'm actually very happy to see that Republicans are finally standing up to President Loco and telling him when something is local, that they're standing up to him on Syria, because I don't know what he's getting Melania for Christmas, but I know what he gave Vladimir Putin for Christmas, lifting sanctions on that Russian company and leaving Syria. That is a gift to Vladimir Putin. And I am glad that Republicans are finally finding those spines that they've donated to science and saying to him, enough is enough, and we are not going to go along with this.
I find it fascinating that globalists like you want to defend borders in the Middle East, but not our own border here. That's exactly backwards. And the president has it right, saying we have no compelling American interest to be involved in a Syrian civil war, and we are rightly getting out. But we have an absolute interest in defending our own border. That's America first. That was the crux of the 2016 movement, was we are not going to be anymore, we have our policy dictated by globalist interventionists who want to defend people all over the world, but won't defend American citizens from an onslaught of illegal immigration that doesn't make sense for our national.
Because it's a flawed
premise. If you think I am, listen, you love to come after me personally. So let me tell you this: I am old enough to remember when Republicans were globalists, when they gave a damn about what's happening all over the world, when they stood up against human rights abuses in Russia and in Central America and in Angola and all over the world. Because we are not one single country in this planet. We are part of a global nation, and what happens in those countries affects what happens here. If you don't know that, then look at what the caravan is. Look at who the people are caravan.
I'm not part of a global nation.
Oh, Steve, sweetheart, one of these days I'm going to have to give you a mirror so that you can look at what you are. Because you seem to have.
Let's leave it there.
An American citizen.
Steve.
I am an American citizen too, but I don't forget where I came from or who I am. And most Americans come from immigrants. Including you.
Anna, Steve, thank you very much.
Love legal immigration. Absolutely.
Well, not that much, right? You want to cut it down. We'll talk about it another time. Thank you.
No, I don't. No, don't put words in my mouth, Chris. That's not.
Well, no, just to be fair, I don't want to put words in Steve's mouth. It's not what we do on this show. The president just doesn't want to cut illegal immigration. He wants to cut legal immigration. Look at the court battle that's going on right now about changing the asylum laws. A federal judge just said you can't deny people an asylum request just because they say they're coming from gangs. You have to find a showing of fact. The president doesn't like it. But that's about legal immigration, not illegal immigration. It's a distinction with a difference. All right, one of the greatest movies of all time, I say,